All right, NFL Showdown here. We're looking at some DFS prices. We're going to look at some of the best bets available for tonight's Monday Night Showdown between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Let's start in DFS here. Reid, who is your captain's play?
Yeah, I think it's Jalen Hurts. In terms of what he's able to do, he's top 10 in in both big time throw percentage and turnover worthy play percentage. That's PFF.com. Some stats that they're giving us for a guy like Jalen Hurts, and that's going to be big when you talk about a guy who needs to get you that upside ceiling play. And he's like the offensive line. Look, they're going to be without Jordan Mailata, and that's big, right? Because he is a solid offensive lineman. They won't be with him. So maybe, Jalen Hurts gets a little bit more yardage in terms of his prop, in terms of rushing. But I do like Jalen Hurts at the second most expensive. He's averaging around 25 DK fantasy points per game this year. I think it's a solid play.
All right, Pearce, how about you, man? Who you get a captain?
It's Jalen Hurts. Dallas has allowed over 400 yards in their first two games. His projection or his prop is 250 through the air, 50 on the ground, 1.5 passing touchdowns. For the Eagles, he's the most likely at the DraftKings Sportsbook to score a touchdown. So everything lines up for him. And you look at the Dallas. So both these teams are going to move the ball, but with Dallas, you could see this being spread out, different players performing. But if you look at the Eagles side, if they're going to keep up with this, it's going to be all Hurts. So he'll have the centralized focus.
By the way, everyone, there is a Millie Maker available in the DraftKings lobby tonight. Geoff, who is in your captain's chair? We've got a couple Jalen Hurts picks. What about you?
Yeah, look, I'm not against Jalen Hurts. I'm going to get against playing him in the captain spot. I do think this is a really interesting showdown. There's a lot of different ways you could go at captain. You could even go extreme value. I'm going to go in the middle, though. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper, averaging over 80 yards per game at home last year. Amari Cooper at home is a different beast. He averaged nearly 15 yards per reception versus under 10 yards per reception on the road last year as well. This Eagles defense, I get it. They've been really good against wide receivers so far. Deebo Samuel, though, he was fine last week. The only reason Deebo Samuel didn't go for a bigger game is because San Francisco was ahead that entire game, and their defense was taking care of business. But he went for 90 yards, 6 catches on 8 targets. This game should be faster paced. It should be closer because the Dallas defense is terrible. I like Amari Cooper for a big game here. I think he busts over 100 yards against this Eagles secondary.
Yeah, leads the team in receptions and in touchdowns. What about the value in this game, Geoff? Where can you find some?
I'm going to leave the speedy wide receiver for Pearce because I got a feeling he's going to want to talk about him on the Eagles. I'm going to go to Blake Jarwin here because I think Blake Jarwin is in a good spot. And again, look, you mentioned the Millie Maker on DraftKings, a huge tournament here for Monday Night Football on DraftKings Showdown format. And in Showdown format, man, you need to find these guys who are going to be just kind of overlooked. And I think Blake Jarwin at $3,000 could be that guy. Okay, he's splitting snaps with Dalton Schultz. We get it. But guess what? When Blake Jarwin is on the field, he's getting thrown to. He out-targeted Dalton Schultz despite playing about 20% less of the snaps. And guess what? The only tight end with the red zone target on Dallas so far is Blake Jarwin. They're going to bring him in packages in the red zone and actually throw him the ball. I think he's got a good shot for a touchdown here. The Eagles have not been as good against tight ends. They're allowing a 75% completion rate to that position. I like Blake Jarwin for a sneaky pick in the big fields.
Okay, Reid, how about you, man?
Yeah, the problem I have with Blake Jarwin is Philadelphia has been great against opposing tight ends. And you talk about both these guys, they both have 8 targets. So you're like splitting it right down the middle. But yeah, Jarwin's a great talent. He's someone that everyone had last year, then he had that ACL tear. But talking about this one, I'm actually going on the tight end on the other side, and it's Zach Ertz. Early COVID, being on the COVID list probably has price depressed, and now the late designation of him being able to play. Look at his price tag at $2,200. Like if this guy falls in the end zone, that's 3x value right there, right? And Zach Ertz not getting a ton of usage, and it's been Dallas Goedert for a guy like Jalen Hurts. But you're talking about value. Zach Ertz presents a ton because of this game and because of his experience against Dallas. So I'm looking at the tight end position. I know that on the Cowboys side, it's much more enticing because of the passing. But give me Zach Ertz here.
All right, Pearce, need some value.
Quez Watkins. Dallas Cowboys have given up over 300 yards passing the first 2 games. Second worst team of football against the slot. Watkins plays the slot. A lot of people probably go with Cedric Wilson as the popular value play, so it's a good pivot away from there. I know the critics are going to say, oh, all of his stats came from one big play. Well, that's great. Fade him because he did something good. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. It is a small sample size. Can he do this again? I don't know, but hey, he's proven that he can do it. We know he's fast. He can get open. And again, it's worth repeating. Cowboys have struggled with the slot. He's going to be in there. I'll talk a little bit more about him actually later in the program.
Oh, wow. Wow, what a tease, Pearce. Well, since you are here, Pearce, the Cowboys are home for this divisional rivalry. This is actually their home opener, and they sit as 3-point favorites. So which side of this number do you like?
I got to be honest, if this were on Sunday, this would be a complete stay away from me. I would want nothing to do with this game. I mean, I'm certain that the Cowboys' offense is good and their defense is bad. But I don't know really what to expect from Philadelphia right now. I think their offense could be great. I think their offense could be a no-show. I think their defense could be really good. And I think their defense could also be a no-show. Ultimately, I think I'm just going to trust Dak and his weapons at home and take the Cowboys -3.
By the way, Reid, this is now 3.5 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. So who do you think covers?
Yeah, I think it's Philly, especially with the hook. I mean, if you want it, right? Like, I think they can win this outright as well. When you look at what Jalen Hurts can do, his advantage plays right into the Dallas's defense disadvantage, which is defending the run. I think on PFF they have a 53 run defense grade, which is one of the worst in the NFL. And the linebacking core, it is a carousel with the Dallas Cowboys, and we know what they can give up in the secondary. So a guy like Devonta Smith can have a big game, even though he's a rookie. He seems like a guy who gets up for these big games, like every pro does. But it seems like Smith has been underrated so far this season because he's been targeted quite a bit. So I do like Philly here. If you want the money line, it's fantastic, but take the points, especially 3.5.
Geoff, Cowboys 5-2 ATS over the last 7 meetings in this series.
These are kind of two teams that are hard to trust. I mean, Dallas, Jekyll and Hyde. I've gone back and forth on this game. I'm actually going to side with Pearce here. I think Dallas, we got to give them a little bit of credit here for their start. They almost beat Tampa week 1. Then they went on the road and beat the Chargers. Like, we got to give them some credit here. I mean, Philly, I love Jalen Hurts. Absolutely love him. And he could absolutely be the X factor here and keep this game close. But I don't know, man. I think Dallas at home, again, you got Cooper, a different beast. I think this secondary for Philly gets exposed a bit. I'm going to lead with Dallas, even though, again, I rarely like trusting the Cowboys in these spots. But it really does feel like Dallas maybe turned a bit of a corner last week.
Yeah, Greg Zuerlein saved him in that game against the Chargers. Let's not forget that. The total for this game is relatively high. We're looking at 51. How much offense do you expect? Enough to take the over, Geoff? You're the over guy.
Look, I'm the over guy, and I feel a lot more confident about this one than I do about the spread. These are two teams, top 10 pace of play. Philly was top 10 pace of play last year. You've got a rushing quarterback in Hurts. He's going to be moving the ball a little bit. You've got guys like Quez Watkins. He should be able to throw downfield too. We know Dallas can get it done on offense. I really like the over here. This one's been creeping up. If you can get it under 52, though, definitely smash the over.
Reid, what do you think here? Because the Cowboys offense, yeah, but do you trust the Eagles enough to move the ball?
Well, no, I think this is an underplay. I think the secondary for the Philadelphia Eagles has been better than advertised. And look, Cooper's a great player, but he also has a rib injury coming into this. Hasn't practiced all week, and he doesn't need to. That's not the point. You don't need your
ribs, Pearce. You don't need ribs.
This is Reid, not Pearce, by the way. And I appreciate you yelling at Pearce because that's just a reflex. But no, I think this is an under game. Like, this division matchup, these two teams always play each other hard. Like I mentioned, I didn't like the defense on the Dallas side, but I think that that secondary in Philly is fairly good, and so are the linebackers. So yeah, give me the under.
All right, how about you, Pearce? Go ahead.
I think ribs are kind of important. They kind of hold everything inside your body. But hey, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a fantasy sports expert on here. What do I know? I always expect points from Dallas, or at least in Dallas games, because Dallas's defense is not good. I know the Chargers game, failed to live up to expectations last week, but a lot of that's just the Chargers. They're undisciplined and weird, I guess is the best word. If you watched the end of that Chargers game yesterday, then you know what I'm talking about. The Chargers just, I don't know what's going on. So I'm not going to really worry too much about that game going under last week and just follow a general trend of Cowboys games always going over. That defense allowing other teams to score points. And Dallas has enough weapons that they should be able to do their part on offense as well.
I just made the mistake of Googling, can you live without ribs? And it is really weird. Don't do that. Finally, guys, let's talk player props here. Is there one that you like for this latest edition of this rivalry game, Reid?
I just want to see your actually, I do not.
No, you do not, buddy.
I do not. It's going to be Springer Spaniels and what can you live without live. I like CeeDee Lamb over 6.5 receptions at +110. This guy has gotten 12 targets per game. So just on a target share basis and how he's doing and how Dallas will want to win this game, they're going to have to feature a guy like Lamb. CeeDee Lamb has been, look, Amari Cooper had some big games, but CeeDee Lamb is the guy that Dak Prescott is going to. So 12 targets per game, getting plus money on a guy who's shaping up to have a breakout season. We all knew this coming in. I really, really like it.
All right, Jeff, which player prop do you really like?
You know me, Emerson. I like to go for these big numbers.
Yeah, you do.
I like to go for the big payday. And I haven't done this enough lately this year. But let's go to the touchdown props. And let's go to Blake Jarwin, the guy I said the Cowboys are bringing in specifically to use as a pass catcher. He's plus 330 to score a touchdown anytime. You can take that a step further, though, and go first player to score in this game, plus 2,200. I think this is the type of player you take a shot on. Again, he's in there specifically for passing. All he needs is that one red zone target to convert. And again, Cowboys have a big implied team total in this one. There's going to be lots of red zone opportunities. I like Blake Jarwin to score a touchdown here.
Ooh, Pearce, what about you, dude?
Quez Watkins over 28.5 yards receiving, blew past that last week. In the first game of the season, he only had 23 yards receiving, but he did all that basically on the second possession of the game, and then it turned into a blowout. They weren't going to need him. They're going to need him all game long. The Cowboys are allowing something like 420 yards per game. We're expecting 51 points. So he'll be on the field. He'll be active. Something worth noting is looking at the wide receiver props for the Eagles. They're all really low. They're all really spread out, which tells me the sportsbook doesn't really know where the ball is going. And all these guys could easily hit the over if this game shoots out.